Hey everyone, and welcome back again. My name's John. I have roughly about 5,500 deliveries between Postmates and DoorDash. I have been delivering since about 2014, and I like to go through, look at policy changes that Postmates and DoorDash are doing, and like to talk about that, break it down into simplistic circumstances so you can understand and take advantage of some of these programs that are out there for you specifically. Or you can better understand some of the policy changes that are going into effect. So if we recap my last video, again, no legitimate company, including Postmates or DoorDash, will ever ask you for your password. So if you have someone who calls pretending to be a customer support agent, a service rep from Postmates or DoorDash, asking you for your password, saying that you want $1 million or some odd number in between, one and $1 million, do not give out your password. No legitimate company would ever ask for your password, ever. There are no exceptions to that. There's no way that they are not trying to steal your money. They're going to go in, they're going to replace your debit account with their own, withdraw the funds automatically, change your password, and you're going to get shut out and lose your funds. Don't fall victim to that. It's unfortunate, but it does happen quite often. Now, we're here today to talk about Seattle, Washington. Seattle, Washington made a policy update change. This is specific to Postmates drivers only because they were the ones that actually produced the policy that I can read off. So, let's get into it. Per local regulations, you can now accrue paid sick and safe time, PSST. Dating back to October of 2019, you accrue 1 day for every 30 non-consecutive days you deliver with Postmates where you've completed at least one delivery in the city of Seattle. That counts as 1 day. So what that means from your standpoint is you can actually get paid sick or safe time occurred to you by simply just working. So if you pick up an order and you drop that off, that counts as and 1 day occurred for your paid sick or your safe time off. So let's say, for instance, in the awful year of 2020, I managed to work for Postmates in Seattle 180 days. And it wasn't consecutive, doesn't have to be according to the policy. I have accrued 5 paid sick or safe days that I can use. So I must have done at least one delivery per each of those 180 days that I worked. So I couldn't have jumped on, realized it was slow, and jumped right back off. That doesn't count. I would have actually had to pick up and drop something off. Even if it's canceled, it still does not count, by the way. So, what does that entitle me to? So let's say that during that time, October for some reason of 2020 was my best month by far. I had a 150-day average every day that I worked. Let's say I just put in so much work during October that that's the average that I ended up at. So at your highest average is what you get paid out. Your highest month average is the average day that you get paid out. So let me break that down one more time for you. So if in the month of October I average $150 a day every single day that I worked, let's say on the average basis with it, I will then get $150 every day of my paid sick or safe time that I decide to take off. Now, how do I go about utilizing those that I've accrued as far as those days go? So, first of all, it is an application process. The applications are processed within 14 days of your claim and are paid roughly within the 14-day period. It could take up to the 14 days, of course, and you can carry over 9 of those days per year. So let's say I deliver, I'm a high volume deliverer for Postmates or DoorDash, and I decide that I'm going to work an entire year just taking as much volume as I possibly can. Well, what that will allow me to do is get actually 12. So let's say I work 365 days. That allows me, or 360 days, you will. That allows me to then use a grand total of 12 sick days, safe days, if I delivered in the Seattle area. So you can carry over 9 of those per year. So I can use 3, carry over the 9, go into the next year. Now, if I do the same exact thing and I work 360 days, I now have 12 plus my 9, so I've got 21. But I can only bring 9 with me into the following year. So I would want to use that time that I've accrued wisely. So I don't think it's likely, obviously, in this scenario that anybody would work 360 days, although I'm sure someone has. It's pretty ridiculous to do that, and props to you if you can get away with that. So basically, step 1 is I have to complete a delivery, and I have to complete that delivery within the Seattle area. Step two is really just that I file for the time off. So let's say that my wife were to lose her job, and as a result of that, she is, struggling a little bit, suffering. She's down, dejected from it. What I can do at that point is I can take some time off to work with her and help her get back on her feet, sort of thing. So I can use those days up to 3. Once I get to the 4th day, that's when the policy enacts a different part to it. So anything that goes beyond 3 days will require some documentation that you are utilizing the funds from that towards this law. So the trick here is kind of complex, and you need to sort of pay attention to this part. You cannot, and they don't want you to go after and get a doctor's note. I'm sure it will suffice, but I encourage you, do not do this. Healthcare workers are burdened. Do not go and try to get documentation from a frontline worker, your primary care provider who's battling COVID-19 on a daily basis. It's really simple and easy. The documentation does not limit itself to a healthcare professional. And part of that is because Seattle themselves and also Postmates themselves do not want you to go after and bother these healthcare workers who are knee deep in a pandemic. You can simply have your wife write a note that says, I was let go from my job. I need my husband. That's it. That documentation works. Postmates will not share that with anybody. They have no right to do so. That's also limited by the law in Seattle. And from that point on, you can just utilize the paid time that you've accrued. So again, going back to my example, I would have 150 days every single day that I've accrued, and I utilize it. How do you stop it? Quite simple. Just to start delivering again. Once you deliver again, that immediately will stop all the payments. So if I get to day 6 and you know what, I want to hold on to a few of my days that I have left, just get in my car, turn on my app, and bingo. Process is done. Nothing else to file, nothing else to do. I'll have my paid safe sick time, whatever I want with it. And if you're curious, because let's say that you've accrued all this time, but you get let go by Postmates. Outside of one exception, and I'll get to that in a second, you can still get your paid sick days. So you file the same form, even if you are currently not working for them, and they will let you use those days. So if you accrued 7 of them prior to being let go to some policy violations, you get all 7 at that point. Now, the only exception to this is if you were convicted or charged with sexual assault. If Postmates can prove that, they can deny you automatically. So just keep that in mind. So just be a decent human being, probably the answer to that, and you get exactly a nice benefit that I think could work well for everybody involved. I think this is a fantastic policy, and I think what you're going to see is a lot more policies that are surrounding this for us gig workers across the country. Like I mentioned in the previous videos, I think this will impact places that are more progressive / liberal more than it'll affect the more conservative areas, because this sort of has become an attack between 1099 gig workers and existing liberal, progressive states, communities, etc. And part of it really just relates to the fact that these places want worker protections, worker rights, even though by definition we aren't a worker. I think both are kind of working together so we don't have a battle like AB 5 and Prop 22 in California again. So the more preemptive these companies can get on the ball with these programs and sort of help out in the smallest ways, it prevents them from having to reclassify every single one of us as employees rather than contractors. So I think this is overall a great policy. I'll leave all of the links in the below of this video so you can have them as a resource. Please save the video if you want to. I don't ask for likes, shares, or comments or anything like that. I answer comments regularly, so if you do have questions regarding the policy, you can certainly add your 2 cents down below, and I will do my best to answer that appropriately. But yeah, the policy I think is very straightforward, very easy to understand once you sort of read through everything. But take advantage of it. If you're a driver, take some time off. You get basically 3 days before you have to come up with a reason why you need a 4th. And it's your money. You have earned this by the right of you working your butt off. And every single day that you took an order, you should have a right to have some time off to help out when help is needed. So Stay safe, everybody. Thank you for looking at this. And if you have any questions, again, comment down below and I'll be happy to help. Have a good day.